What if I told you that one class of drugs alone is now driving 10 to 12% of the entire pharmacy trend in 2026, and it's growing fast?
They believe the only options are to absorb the full cost or take benefits away from their employees.
And that feels hopeless to a lot of people.
But here's what's broken in that thinking. In a properly structured self-funded plan, you have visibility into the actual medical bills and the ability to put smart guardrails in place without denying necessary care.
Self-funding is not the destination, it's the starting point. Let's start with a question that should make every CFO and business owner sit up straight. Your health insurance bill keeps going up every year, and a big part of that increase is coming from prescription drugs. But what if I told you that one class of drugs alone is now driving 10 to 12% of the entire pharmacy trend in 2026, and it's growing fast?
Yeah, absolutely. These are the GLP-1 medication drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy used for diabetes and weight management. Along with other specialty drugs, they are creating a cost explosion that many employers feel powerless to manage. Today, we're going to explain in plain language why this is happening, what it means for your monthly costs, and how a properly structured self-funded plan with a captive layer gives you real tools to manage these costs without cutting benefits or harming employee care.
And welcome back to another episode of Blueprints for Better Benefits. I'm your host, Rodney Jr., joined as always by my dad, Rodney Mattos Sr. And this is where we help employers climb step by step out of the fog of incomplete information and into real clarity and control over their health benefits.
Yeah, most employers are stuck at base camp when it comes to pharmacy costs because the numbers are hidden and the middlemen who manage these drugs make it hard to see what's driving the increases. Triforta serves as a Sherpa guide, helping you understand exactly where the money is going and what you can do about it. This episode is especially important right now. GLP-1 medications and other specialty drugs are pushing pharmacy trends 10 to 15% or higher in 2026. We'll explain in plain language why this is happening and how self-funded plans with captive layers give you practical tools to manage these costs while still supporting employee health needs. So if you're a CFO or CEO watching your drug spend climb faster than almost anything else in your budget, stay with us.
So what's the biggest myth employers believe about these new expensive drugs?
Well, the myth is that there's nothing you can do about the cost explosion from GLP-1s and specialty drugs. Many business owners think these medications are so new and so important that the only choice is to pay whatever the bill says or cut coverage. In simple terms, they believe the only options are to absorb the full cost or take benefits away from their employees.
And that feels hopeless to a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely. But here's what's broken in that thinking. In a properly structured self-funded plan, you have visibility into the actual medical bills and the ability to put smart guardrails in place, like prior authorization, step therapy, and biosimilar options without denying necessary care. The misalignment in the fully insured plans, it hides these tools from you, and you have no options.
You don't have to choose between high costs and cutting benefits. You can manage the cost while still supporting your people. So where are most employers going wrong with these high-cost drugs?
Well, the biggest mistake is treating GLP-1s and specialty drugs as an uncontrollable force of nature. They accept the monthly cost increase as inevitable and just pass it along or absorb it. So let me give you a simple example most business owners would understand. Imagine your company fleet of trucks is suddenly using a new, very expensive fuel that costs twice as much as regular diesel. And if you just keep paying the higher price without asking questions or looking for alternatives, your fuel bill is going to explode. But if you can see the actual usage, set some rules about when the expensive fuel is used, and find some approved lower cost options that still get the job done, you can manage the cost without stranding your trucks. So that's very close to what's happening with GLP-1s and specialty drugs. In a fully insured plan, you often don't see the detailed usage or have the ability to steer towards biosimilars or step therapy. But in a self-funded plan, with the right structure, you can see actual medical bills and put practical guardrails in place.
And because these drugs are growing so fast, the mistake is becoming more expensive every month.
Yeah, absolutely, it is. So, what we're seeing right now in 2026 is that GLP-1 medications and other specialty drugs are driving a large part of the pharmacy cost increases. Many employers are seeing pharmacy trend of 10 to 15% or higher, with GLP-1s alone contributing significantly to that rise. These drugs are very effective for diabetes and weight management, so more employees are using them. But because they are expensive, sometimes thousands of dollars per month per person, the total spend quickly adds up. In some plans, specialty drugs now make up half or more of all pharmacy spending, even though they are used by a small percentage of the population. We foresee over the next 12 to 24 months utilization to keep growing as more people get prescriptions and as the drugs are approved for additional usage. Biosimilars are starting to enter some categories and offer a potential way to lower these costs, but only if your plan has the visibility and flexibility to steer towards them. So, for mid market employers, this pressure is especially painful because every extra dollar in pharmacy cost reduces money available for wages, equipment, or other benefits. Companies that stay in fully insured plans often have little say in how these costs are managed. Those that move to self-funded plans with captive layers gain tools like prior authorization, step therapy, and biosimilar encouragement to manage the spend while still supporting employee health.
So the cost explosion is real and it's happening now.
It is, but with the right structure, you can manage it without cutting benefits.
So, how does this affect hiring and keeping good people?
Well, it definitely makes it harder than it needs to be. When pharmacy costs keep climbing with no clear path to manage them, you have less money available to offer competitive wages or improve other parts of the benefits package. In tight labor markets, especially in construction, manufacturing, mining, companies are fighting to attract and keep skilled workers. Employees notice when their out of pocket costs for medications go up or when benefits feel less generous. But a properly structured self funded plan with captive layers gives you more control so you can manage the high cost drugs wisely and still support your team. Many employers tell us that once they gain visibility, they can redirect the savings into benefits that actually help with retention. They can actually lower deductibles, they can lower out of pocket maximums, and they even lower copays, even adding real wellness programs into their benefits package. So here's the truth many employers haven't heard yet. You don't have to choose between controlling costs and supporting your employees' health. You can have both. With the right structure, you can manage the GLP-1 and specialty drug explosion while still providing good coverage for your people.
The cost explosion is real, but so is your ability to manage it when you have the visibility and the right tools. So tell us about some real companies that are managing these costs successfully.
Sure. One was a 160 employee manufacturing company. They saw their pharmacy spend jump sharply because several employees, needing the medications, they started GLP-1s, and the CFO was worried the trend would keep accelerating. Their HR person felt caught in the middle. They wanted to support employees with diabetes and weight issues, but they couldn't keep absorbing those increases. They then moved to a self-funded plan with a captive layer and put in place prior authorizations and step therapy guidelines. In the first year, they reduced their pharmacy spend by over $95,000 while still covering the medications when medically appropriate. They used part of the savings to lower what the employees paid out of pocket for other drugs, which improved morale significantly. The owner said it gave them breathing room to invest in new equipment without cutting benefits. Then I think of there was one other example I can think of. There was a 110 employee construction firm. They had a few high cost specialty drug cases. Under their old fully insured plan, they had no visibility and no ability to steer towards the biosimilars. Leadership team felt pretty powerless. They didn't want to pass more cost to employees, but they also couldn't keep cutting profit. But after switching to self-funded, they gained monthly reports and were able to negotiate better terms with a transparent drug middleman. Their total savings helped them stabilize their budget and gave them room to improve other benefits. The HR coordinator said the monthly reports actually reduced her workload because she could answer employees' questions with real data instead of it having to make guesses.
This segment is brought to you by the people and platforms that make this show possible. First, Triforta. If you're an employer who's tired of runaway renewals, bloated, fully insured plans, and the feeling that your benefit strategy is working against you instead of for you, then hear us clearly. You do not have to play that game anymore. Help business owners fix broken health insurance. We bring cost containment strategies, self-funded captives, data intelligence, and real-world case studies that routinely save employers 6 and 7 figures without cutting benefits. If you want a benefits plan that actually rewards results, visit triforta.com and download our blueprints for better benefits. And second, Aperionics. If you run an insurance agency and you're still drowning in manual quoting, data entry, or commission reconciliation, you're leaving more than time on the table. You're leaving money. Aperionics is the automation layer built by insurance people for insurance people. AI quoting for carriers that don't have APIs. Instant policy data extraction, commission statement automation, proposal generation in seconds, not hours. Aperionics reduces operating costs and gives teams their time back so they can work at the top of their license. Learn more at aperionics.com. That's APEIRONIX.com. Triforta and Aperionics, 2 companies, 1 united mission. Fix what's broken, elevate what's possible, and help real people thrive. Now let's get back to the show.
And then there's another example. We worked with a 75-employee mining company, and they faced several high-cost claims involving specialty medications. The lack of visibility made budgeting difficult and created tension between their finance department and their HR team. But after moving to self-funded with stronger oversight, they were able to make enough plan adjustments to save them over $55,000 in the first year while still supporting all their employees' needs. So one shift supervisor I recall mentioned it made him feel like there was finally receiving more value because the company was being very thoughtful about their benefits for the first time. You see, these companies realized they didn't have to choose between cost control and caring for their people. They could finally do both once the right structure was in place.
So for a CFO listening, walk us through what managing these costs actually look like in practice.
Yeah, certainly. Think of it like reviewing your monthly supplier invoice instead of just paying the total bill. In a traditional fully insured plan, you get one lump monthly cost that includes drug middleman fees and markups that you can't see. But in a self-funded plan with a captive layer, you start getting detailed reports, and they'll show you what each drug actually costs, how much was spent on GLP-1s and specialty drugs, and what options exist to manage that spend. You can then put practical guardrails in place, like prior authorization to make sure medication is appropriate. You can put in step therapy to try lower cost options and encouragement of biosimilars when they become available. You see, many employers find that simply seeing the real numbers lets them reduce costs significantly without denying necessary care. For example, suppose a high-cost GLP-1 drug is driving up the total, but with visibility, you get to review medical necessity and you get to steer towards biosimilars whenever it's appropriate and often reduce that cost while still supporting your employees. That savings goes straight back to your bottom line and of course can be used to improve other benefits. See, the financial impact is direct. You get lower monthly drug costs, more predictable budgeting, and money that stays in your business instead of disappearing into uncontrolled spend.
So it's not just about cutting costs, it's about managing them wisely while still supporting your team.
Exactly. That knowledge gives you the power to make better decisions month after month.
And what pushbacks do you hear from employers when they consider managing these high-cost drugs more actively?
Well, many CFOs say, we don't want to deny care for our employees. Well, the answer is you don't have to. Prior authorization and step therapy are not about saying no. They're about making sure the right medication is used at the right time. Most employees understand and appreciate thoughtful management. Then you have HR leaders who often worry, hey, this could create more work for our small team. But in reality, the better oversight means simpler reporting and fewer surprises at renewal. And all of that reduces the fire drills HR has to handle. Some owners ask, will our broker or current plan push back? Well, they might at first, but when you actually bring in clear data and side-by-side comparison, that conversation shifts from a sales conversation to a strategy session. Another common concern is, how do we explain this to our employees? Well, the best approach is to frame it as, hey, we're taking steps to make sure your benefits are sustainable and we're getting the best value so we can keep supporting your care long term. Most employees respond very positively when they see the company is being thoughtful with costs.
And so the objections are real, but they can be addressed with the right approach.
Absolutely. The key is focusing on supporting employees while protecting the company's ability to offer benefits in the long run. You see, the biggest pitfall is doing nothing and hoping the cost explosion slows down all by itself. Many employers assume there's nothing they can do. But let's consider a few practical steps every employer can take right now. First, ask for a detailed breakdown of your current pharmacy spend, especially GLP-1 and specialty drug usage. Compare your current setup against a self-funded model with stronger oversight tools, and schedule a review with a neutral partner to see what guardrails make sense for your team. You can visit Triforta.com and mention GLP-1s and specialty drugs, and we'll help you review your options with clear numbers.
And when you step back, the GLP-1 and specialty drug cost explosion is real and it's growing. But you don't have to choose between controlling costs and supporting your employees' health.
A properly structured self-funded plan with a captive layer gives you the visibility and tools to manage these costs wisely while still providing excellent coverage for your employees.
And as we always say on this podcast, self-funding is not the destination, it's the starting point. And if this episode gave you a new perspective on managing high-cost drugs, share it with your CFO or CEO and visit Triforta.com to review your current pharmacy spend and explore how self-funded models can give you more visibility and better control. And as always, thanks for climbing with us, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.